Matt Clark here at the new Matt Clark. How are each and every one of you doing on this amazing Monday? I'm doing great. My girl's doing great. My family's doing great. Hope each and every one of you are doing great despite the times that we're living in. If you could please hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that bell notification button so you get all my videos when they're new. If you can share with somebody on social media, help spread the message, help spread the word, that'd be amazing. And there's a PayPal option if you'd like to donate, help support the channel. The link is in the description of all of my videos. So I've been getting asked to go back to T.Y.A.C. Bring another T.Y.A.C story into the fray. So that's what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna do it a little differently. I guess I'm not. I guess I'm doing it the same. It's always the same, right? But when you're in that kind of a situation, so when you're in jail or prison and you feel like your back is against the wall, it can force you to act irrationally, to act out of character, to do things for self-preservation that you wouldn't normally do, like assault people, despite the fact that that's not really your character. You never were a violent person, you never loved to fight, but when you first came through the system, you realize very quickly that this is a dog-eat-dog world, and either you're going to be the prey or you're going to be the predator, and that's exactly how T.Y.A.C was. Now, when I first went up to dorms in Kayak, I had a hard time. I had to fight this big jacked white dude that, despite the fact he was the only white dude on the dorm, I had to fight him because I was up there, I was white, and nobody knew who I was. And then they tried to run me off the dorm. They had these two little Sri Lankan dudes and this one light-skinned dude try to run me off the block. Obviously, I didn't run. I had been there long enough to know that you can't do that. That's career destroying. But I wasn't expecting this kind of tension just going up to the dorms, okay? So I'm sleeping in my bed. All of a sudden, I feel water pour into my bed. I'm asleep, keep in mind. So I jump up and I realize everybody's in their bed, fake sleeping. They're clowning me. They're dissing me. So I decided, forget it. I'm just going to sit at the end of the bed. I'm going to put my shoes on and I'm just going to be ready for whatever happens. So I literally sat there for hours on the corner of my bed. And after a few hours, they came to me and said, go to your bed. You're good. You can chill. That night, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about doing time. And although I would change my behavior later on in life, at that time, I was just worried about fitting in. I was worried about keeping myself safe and trying to act as gangster as I could, despite the fact that I didn't feel like I was gangster at all. Like, I definitely wasn't soft. I wasn't scared to fight, but I didn't like to hurt people. I didn't get any pleasure out of beating up random people, but I joined in because I felt like I had to keep myself safe and to, fit in. It is the way that it is. So I'm on dorms, and at this time I had acclimated. People were my boys. I had homies up there, but I was still fairly new. And this kid came up to the block. He was a young guy. He was a Sri Lankan guy, and he was just doing weird things, making weird moves. And me and a couple homies decided that we were going to smash him up. I know it's wrong. It's horrible. Should have never done it. Feel terrible to this day. And it was bad. We beat him up all night long. We would knock him out, put him under his blankets when the coppers would do walks, because it was dorms. So they'd come through 11, 11:30, 12, 12:30. But you're not locked in your cell. And if you keep 16 and 17-year-old kids in that environment with no supervision, criminal kids, what do you think's going to happen? It was constant mayhem, night after night after night. There'd be food wars. There'd be, just partying. People would be getting buzzled, and then just mayhem, torturing people, smashing people, and that is what we did to this kid. And honestly, I'd say that it was the worst thing I've been a part of in my years of doing time, because we were smashing him. He'd be half unconscious, hanging off the bed. I'd be like, boom, hammer fisted, boom, boom, hammer fisted. It doesn't matter that he was weird, that he was odd, that he was doing crazy things, I changed my character and became something that I'm not. And to this day, I realize that I should have stood on something different, because later on in my criminal life, I stood on something different. I didn't follow the crowd. I made my own decisions. I rolled dolo all of my bits. Never at any point in any of my bits did I rely on anybody to fight for me. Did I put myself into situations knowing that certain people would defend me? And it did happen a couple times where I got into situations and people did defend me, but I was doing things that I thought was righteous and what I was prepared to stand on. But in young offender, I was just being a bully. And you see a lot of that, especially with guys that haven't really done real time, and it's like they're hurting and having a hard time losing grip to the reality that they were living before, and they want to retain as much control as possible. So they try to control the phone, they try to control the food, they try to just bully people around, and that is the environment in young offender and many provincial jails across the province. It just is, if you're not prepared to throw your hands every once in a while, then the criminal lifestyle in prison obviously, clearly is not the road for you. Because I don't care who you are, you could be the softest dude in the world. If you're doing any amount of time, eventually somebody's going to test you. You're going to be put in the circumstances where you're either going to fight or flight, and people are going to see what you're made of. I've seen guys literally, all young offender, get smashed around, smacked around, punched around, slapped around, told to do people's laundry, disrespectful things. And all of a sudden, one day they just snap and they just start fighting back. All of a sudden, they're a problem. They have respect. It takes a while to shed the image, but they shed it because every single person has a breaking point. And T.Y.A.C to me, man, was a crazy circumstance, because when I was there, I actually had fun there. I actually did. I don't know what it was. I liked the mayhem. It was constant mayhem. Whether it was fighting, whether it was smashing up the block, fishing things in at night from the cell, just destruction. And that's going to happen anytime you put 16, 17-year-old kids into a cell or a jail or prison environment. You're going to get that. And you're also going to get it when you do it with adults, because you have that many males pent up into such a small space. And in young offender, phase 2, 16, 17, raging testosterone. Everybody's got a point to prove. Everybody's got ego. I also had that. And when I first came through, I really truly saw how it was. There was no, you're going to just coast through and do your own time. That's not how T.Y.A.C worked. There was no neutron in it. Now, I know I said I didn't roll with any gangs. I didn't expect anybody to fight for me. I didn't. But at the same time, you get caught up. You get caught up. You can't avoid it in a place like that. And it was very similar in the Dawn, except when I was in the Dawn, I was a much more mature guy. I decided to stay away from the BS, and it didn't matter. I had my respect regardless. But T.Y.A.C was a place that will make and break you as a man or as a boy. And at that point, you're going to decide, are you going through? Are you going to continue on and become this hardcore criminal that goes through the rest of your life, doing life on the installment plan? Or are you going to turn it around? And T.Y.A.C challenged people like that. I saw a lot of people bend, break, fold, and turn it in T.Y.A.C. I saw a lot of people from T.Y.A.C lose their lives in the streets, gang wars, shootings, drug overdoses, you name it, because what it bred, what it was designed to do. And I don't know why anybody would think it would be a good idea. When you look at the way T.Y.A.C was set up, the only thing you can logically get from it was that it was intentional. It was intentional to put us through that system, to harden us up, create worse criminals, and create a more sturdy system for everybody's job security, and to keep that system going, because we all know they do not want everybody to get better. They do not want everybody to change their lives, because if that happened, none of them would have jobs. And we all know that's a reality. Therefore, they make it impossible to turn your life around. And T.Y.A.C was not impossible to turn your life around. It was impossible to do anything but get caught up in the BS. And I'm telling you, T.Y.A.C changed me. I went from a kid who was a nice kid. I like stealing things. I like money. I like spending what I didn't have. But I was a nice kid. I was a good person at heart. I didn't like to fight people. I didn't like violence. I really just wanted to do my own thing, be a nomad, and roll dolo. It's what I wanted my whole life. Just leave me alone and let me do me, right? T.Y.A.C introduced me to a lot of people that in my life I got involved in hardcore crime with. We went and did major time because of. T.Y.A.C made me prepared to fight and do the more hardcore time later on in my life. T.Y.A.C was the school of hard knocks. And I know they don't do T.Y.A.C anymore, but if you look at that T.Y.A.C generation, dead, in jail, and very few that turned it around like I did. And I'm only 3 years turned it around. It could still go bad. You never know. That's why you got to stay on your toes forever. There's real trauma from that place, man. Because you're a young teenager, 21. There was a point when I, maybe the last year in Kayak where 7C was a seg range, and we were 21 and 3 lockdown. Now, you would maybe get out, sorry, not that much. So you'd get out for a little bit in the morning, and then you'd get out for one other period. So from 1 to 4, half the range would get out, and from 6 to 9, the other half the range would get out, because they didn't have enough ranges to split up everybody involved in all the gang politics, all the beefs, all the fights. It just wasn't a big jail. There was 4 ranges and 2 dorms. That's it, right? So if you got in so many fights with so many different people, there was no option. And then they opened 7C, which was a seg range. And once you were on 7C, it was basically impossible to get off there. They'd have you on a scaled down punishment. So maybe you have to do like 7 days locked in the cell, and then 7 days where you get an hour out, and then 7 days where you get out half the day, and then maybe they'll move you back to a block. But it was constant mayhem, constant smashing people, constant smashing up, constant throwing shit at the guards, constant just mayhem, because when you're 16 and 17 years old, you need things to do. You need school. You need sports. You need programming to keep you interested. If not, guess what? Idle hands are the devil's playground, and that's what happened with me. Yes, there was times in my life I was a bully, and to this day, I feel horrible about it. But it was self-preservation. It was. And maybe at the time I didn't see it as that, but I literally became somebody I wasn't because of it, right? Obviously, I share my stories with you guys so you guys don't have to go through these things yourself. If I could snap my finger, nobody goes to jail. Nobody goes to T.Y.A.C, young offender, adult, penitentiary. Nobody goes through mental health, abuse, addiction, PTSD, any of that stuff. That's what I do, but that's not a reality, especially in 2021, man. It's crazy out here. The world is fucked up. And we know it is. You see it every day. It's crazy out here. So hopefully my videos can inspire and promote some positivity, because you don't get much of that anymore. And, my messaging is just to tell people there is hope. I had none. I was trapped in the system from 15 years old right up until I was, 35 years old? Trapped. I was written off. If I could turn it around, you guys could turn it around. I'm telling you, it's just a fact. 20 years hard addiction, heroin addiction, coke addiction, using crack, all of that. 25 years crime, hard crime, being involved in prison and the streets all my life. I didn't even have to. I chose to. That's how broken I was. System, I don't know, man. It was almost as if I was more comfortable there. And it's crazy to say, but it's factual. You know, my upbringing around that time was really traumatic for me and difficult. And I think maybe being in jail, I didn't have to think about it. If you guys could please hit that like button. If you could please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification button to get all my videos when they're new. If you could share with somebody on social media, help spread the message, help spread the word, that'd be amazing. And there's a PayPal option if you'd like to donate, help support the channel. The link is in the description of all of my videos. So yes, I've been involved in my life in lots of things I didn't want to be involved in, or I would definitely not be involved in now because of circumstances. But I was never a bad person. I never wanted to hurt people. And it just proves that sometimes the system creates the monster. It doesn't help. Love each and every one of you. The new Mac.